You're listening to the Family Discipleship Podcast, a podcast of training the church.
Hey, Cassie, Chelsea, we're all here together. This is Adam Griffin. I'm here with my wife, Chelsea, and our friend, Cassie Bryant. And this is episode 100. Episode 100 of the Family Discipleship Podcast. How great is that, guys?
Woohoo.
Loose the confetti.
I mean, I'm feeling a little old.
Oh, really?
Well, I just feel like to do 100 episodes of anything, it takes time. How much time has passed? How old were we when we started this, and how old were our kids?
So young.
It was moments ago.
We were spring chickens. It felt, yeah.
I've watched 100
Moments
episodes
ago.
of certain shows, and I don't think it aged me at all. 100 episodes of 30 Rock, and I feel rejuvenated.
Have you guys ever talked to somebody who binged the podcast? They went on a road trip and they tell you they listened to like 5 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard like them listening, chaining them back to back. I've not heard them like binge all 100
And
episodes.
no.
And I'm like, do you hate me now? Like, did you hear so much?
Yeah, that's a lot of my voice in your ears.
Too much of one voice is not a good thing. Well, let me kick us off with a recent review, guys. I think it's always good to have a little bit of an encouragement. So this comes from someone named I Heart Podcast 30. This male or female listener says that they love the age group series we just wrapped up. They said listening to the 7 to 11 age group episode was so helpful and encouragement she needed to keep going. I assume it's a she since very few of our male listeners leave reviews, but that's okay. Not a shout, not a call out. Just shout out to her or him. She says, thanks for such an intelligent and hope-filled series. Isn't that great, guys? It's awesome.
That's so great. Thank you. I love podcasts.
Yeah.
I heart podcasts.
I
That's
heart
so great.
podcasts. I also loved that series. I thought that was so fun going through the different age groups.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Well, tonight, what I really wanted to talk about with you guys, we're not going to just sit around and pat ourselves on the back for 100 episodes, although I do want to start with just a couple questions or a couple maybe trivia, Family Discipleship Podcast trivia, and then let's really get into some things that are really edifying for the listener. Here's a little trivia. Every month, we get a little update from our friend Brad about how the podcast has done this month and who it's reaching and what cities it's going to. And it's a little bit different every month, the report. But here, I'll give you, people may be interested to know, millions of downloads, which is great. And the Lord's really blessed this work. Chelsea,
Wait, we have millions of downloads?
We total, not in the last week or anything like that. But,
but still, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like wild.
Yeah, it's more than 10. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but that could be, though, like one of our moms listening 1 million times. It would count the same.
It could be iHeart Podcast listening just on repeat.
30 times over. Yeah.
I could see Lee Griffin going out of her way just to bump your numbers.
just to leave it rolling on different apparatus.
Or it's our mom.
Yeah,
it's all her mom.
And your mom's pretty savvy, so I could see her like buying a lot of devices just to get different IP addresses and doing stuff like that, or like grabbing other grandmas.
They listen to the ads twice
phones,
over.
and then like listening, like letting it play, but that other lady doesn't even know something's playing on her phone.
She's got a whole call center in India just listening to her podcast 24/7.
She's a powerful woman. I could see it.
All right, here's a little trivia for you, Chelsea. What spot in America's parenting podcast did our podcast reach this month? Like, think of like 1 to 1,000. Where was our podcast this month?
Why would it be on there? This is not a parenting podcast.
Oh, good call out. But I don't know who's classifying us. Somebody put us on parenting podcast.
Someone's categorized it. We have to receive it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so parenting podcast. In what place are we? I would say out of what? Is it go up to like a 10,000?
Let's say 1 out of 1,000. Where do you think we were?
Oh, I'll go right in the middle of 500.
That's a good guess. Yeah, Cassie, what do you think?
I'm going to guess 182.
Ooh, okay, guys. Number 9 was the correct answer. Peak chart number 9. Top 10 parenting podcasts this month, guys.
That's amazing.
Pretty great. Yeah. Laura's been very kind. Again, how about this? In what country were we number 2 this month in parenting?
Oh, Kazakhstan?
Good guess. You always guess Kazakhstan because we do have some friends there, and there's probably not a lot of people listening to Christian podcasts in Kazakhstan. Cassie, what do you think?
I'm going to guess Italy.
No, Barbados.
Aww.
Lovely Barbados. Number 2 in Barbados. So we love you, Barbados. All right, number one.
We love Barbados.
Our number one
That's
city
awesome.
is always Dallas, Texas. That's where we live. This is where our friends live. So people are supporting us. That's so kind. There has never been a city that beats out Dallas for the Family Discipleship Podcast. I'll have you know.
Wow, Dallas.
And never a state that beats out Texas. Let's go.
Big love.
This month, we had a small town that was our number 2. I'll just tell you, you'll never guess it. But Dalton, Georgia was the second most popular city. It was Dallas, Texas, and then Dalton, Georgia. Has you guys ever been to Dalton, Georgia?
Wait, where
No,
did Jackie Hill and Preston Perry live?
Well, it's probably them listening, but I
No,
think they're in Atlanta.
I don't think they listen, but they shared an episode one time.
Yeah, that was a few months ago.
So maybe that hits.
So it's like a trickle down effect.
Maybe
like
that
people
hits some
that follow
peeps in
them.
Dalton.
That's so cool.
I've never even heard of
There's a
Dalton,
little-
but the number 3 city this month is one that's frequently in our kind of top 5. Anybody have a guess
Nashville.
where it's at? Nashville.
is
Good
it
guess.
the South Carolina one?
Nope, but close.
Isn't there like a North Carolina one?
Yes, North Carolina, big city.
Okay. Charleston? No. Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina, number 3. Shout out Charlotte. Love you guys
That's
over there in
amazing.
Charlotte. We'll be, I don't think it's both of us. I think I'm out there next August. Yeah, I'll be there next August. Be there at a church speaking about family discipleship. Looking forward
See
to it.
ya.
See ya. Okay, number 1 state I said in Texas, for the podcast is always Texas. Number 2 is North Carolina. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Tennessee. Number 5, any guesses?
Oklahoma.
I'm hoping it's not in the South. No, let's go somewhere else. Let's do like.
Oh, do you think the people of Portland are tuning in?
No, I'm thinking like maybe Nebraska.
Portland. Okay, so the top 5 are all in the South: Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and the number 5 is Florida. The first state not in the South is actually number 6 on the list with, let's see, what do you think?
It's your mom in Wisconsin.
Oh, good guess. But no, mom is not hitting it up there. She's not doing it. The correct answer was California. California, number 6. California, shout out California.
Oh, that makes sense because I get emails from people in California.
Is that
a lot
right?
about ministry, about children's ministry stuff? Yeah, they're like, hey, listen to your podcast. You know why? It's because our pastor, Northway pastor, was a pastor.
Oh, the Well,
So
California.
I think
Another shout out,
I
the
think
Well.
we got some well.
Okay, last
Well,
trivia.
listeners.
Last trivia. Okay, the number 1 country that downloads obviously is the United States of America. What do you think is the number 2 country listening to the Family Discipleship Podcast?
Japan.
Ooh, good
I was going to
guess.
say it might be Barbados, but I'm not sure that they really have the numbers for it. But I would say Australia. They speak English.
Australia's
so do we.
number 4.
Okay. UK?
UK, United Kingdom, number 2.
Oh,
Number 3, another English-speaking country, Canada. Then number 5, you'll never guess. We got United States, number 1, then UK, then Canada, then Australia. Number 5 is
Belize.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Shout out.
Praise the
Hong
Lord.
Kong.
Praise the Lord.
I feel if my mustard seed friends from Japan are listening to this episode, I feel like you can do better, Japan.
Well,
Come on, listen.
According to this top countries list, they're not listening. So
There's like 5
Come on,
Christians
Japan.
in Japan.
yeah, maybe all
That's
5,
true.
100% of them might be listening. They still don't make the
It
list.
is.
That's
it
right.
is a very
'Cause
unreached people
You're
group,
right. Mustard
but
Seed's doing great work. And yet
They're doing great work.
Japan
And
is
they don't have time to listen to our podcast because they're too busy
we love
doing
Mustard
great
Seed.
work.
We do. But yeah, Japan is largely unreached.
Okay, keep up the
It
great
is.
work, Mustard Seed. Keep up the great
love
work,
you,
Family
Japan.
Discipleship Podcast. 100 episodes, no joke, guys. This has been great. Let me ask you a couple questions that I think will really bless the listeners as we talk through kind of it's not really 100 episodes in review. To me, I want this to really come across listeners kind of like the best lessons we've learned, kind of consolidated into one episode. So if you've not been listening for very long, or if you have, hopefully this episode is a big blessing because we're going to give you some of our best stuff. So let's start with this. Cassie, anything stick out to you as maybe an unexpected lesson that you learned since you hosted the podcast? We've done 100 episodes. What do you think you learned as a mom that has really made a huge impact for you?
I think the unexpected lesson that I've learned is that family discipleship is not something that just kind of fits so neatly in this box. I mean, I know we talk about all the time, moments, milestones, modeling, and those aren't, but it's just, I guess it's a lot more abstract and it's a lot more like all consuming than even those boxes allow it to be. You can't put them in just these 4 or 5 boxes. It's really a way of life.
Yeah.
And the more we listen, the more I listen to our episodes and each other and learn from you guys, and the more I listen to and learn from our interviews. It's just, man, it's just the way of life. It's the way of Christ. Making disciples is the way of Christ.
Yeah.
And so then therefore it naturally saturates your whole home and your whole life.
Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of the parents that I talk to that are intimidated by family discipleship is because they think there's a particular version that they're not living out that other people are. And you're right that there's a little bit more of an art than a science to a lot of this, to say, well, what are your kids like and what are you like and what is the Lord doing in your life are much more important questions than just how do you stack up against another family that you're aware of. Chelsea, unexpected lessons you learned from hosting the podcast. We've done this 100 episodes. I had to kind of convince you to do it every time, 100 times. But what lessons do you feel like you've learned along the way?
Kind of like Cassie saying how different this looks for a lot of families, but it's been really impactful to me to see just the creativity or the uniqueness that is applied to each family that's seeking to have an imparted faith. And by the way, I'm a little bit sick. So again, Adam did have to make me do this, but that's why my voice sounds like this.
We're both sick. We both stayed home from work. But here we are on the podcast.
Yeah. This week I called in sick for the first time ever in my nursing career. I called in sick for actually being sick. The hospital's open 24/7, so you just can't make every shift you're supposed to be at. So typically it's like I've got tickets to a football game, so I can't come to work. But I was actually sick this week. Yeah. It felt good. But by the way, you don't have to be sick to call in at my work, so I'm not lying when I call in. Anyways, unexpected.
Good clarity.
Yeah, just seeing how beautifully people can obey God's command in their own context with their own kids. We just have our kids. The Bryants just have their kids. Every family looks different, and it's been really beautiful to get a window into the homes of some other people, and then because of the interviews we have here, then I end up having other conversations with people outside of this in our church, just in our community, with what it looks like in their home to follow the Great Commission in their home and to try to obey God's commands for parents in their homes. And it's just been really beautiful for me to see that it doesn't have to look exactly like anybody else is doing it. But we do need to be faithful and obey. But yeah.
That's good. I want to get to more of those outside conversations, like what it's looked like to talk to some listeners about some of the things we've learned. But before we do that, I know I have a list in my head, so I imagine you guys do too. What are the episodes that you feel like you'll probably go back to again and again, either as your kids get older or just to be reminded? Or what are the conversations, think of the guests we've had on? What are the episodes you're like, I needed to hear that, or I'm sure I'm going to need to hear that again? What is that for you, Chelsea?
I got so tearful during our interview with Zach S. Wine. And I felt like he just had such a humble heart, and he was sharing so honestly, sharing about his divorce and his remarriage and kind of almost like a second attempt at parenting well. And just his posture really struck me. A lot of times people end up writing a book or being on a podcast because essentially what they're saying is like, I have something figured out, or I know something and other people should learn from me. Yeah. And while a lot of people do sit under Zach S. Wine's teaching and leadership as he pastors a church, by no means was he the guy that's going, give me a megaphone and let me just tell everybody what I've done. But more compelling, he really impacted me as a person who deeply loves God.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so he said some so profound things that day that struck me.
Yeah, I've gotten some more one-on-one time with him over the last year, and he is so humble. I don't know that there's a single question that when I asked him, he just answered it. Almost always when I ask him a question, he'll say something like, well, let's try to learn the answer to that together. Like, I don't know that I know the right answer. And it reminds me so much of like how I think Christ would have been sage-like in his gentleness, his patience, and his invitation, that it wouldn't just be like, yeah, here's what you do. But that there was kind of an invitation to that question to enter into more relationship and conversation. Yeah. Cassie, what is it for you? What episode do you feel like you go back to a lot, or you will go back to a lot?
I mean, that one for sure is on my top 3. It's I feel like it's a sleeper episode because he's not like famous in the sense that he doesn't have like this huge social media following. I don't like hear his name being dropped in terms of like, did you listen to his, last audio but man, I just think that hour that we got with him was so rich. And so I'll definitely go back to that. The other one would, I think, be Johnny Erickson Tata. Just the call to lift our eyes up, to think about the eternal and not the temporal. I mean, that is, when Paul in 1 Corinthians 7 talks about, how as married people, we get so bogged down by the worries of the world. How much time have I given this week to meal planning, to scheduling my kids' stuff, to all these things that if Christ comes back tomorrow, they're all gone. It's all over. And so to lift our eyes and to think on the eternal and give so much more of our time to pondering heaven and life and eternity with Jesus and how that can shape parenting in our daily life here is just such a good reminder and something I put such a high value on productivity and, my daily agenda. And so it's just a good reminder to get pulled out of that and lift my eyes up and look to heaven.
That's great. I feel like there's a couple of off-air conversations that were such a blessing to me that probably would not have happened if we hadn't done the podcast. I think of conversations I got to have with Ray Ortland when he showed up early to our episode, and a conversation I got to have with Phil Comer when he stayed late on our episode. Both of those men are very fatherly. Both of those men are very pastoral and were a huge blessing to me. But the on-air one I go back to over and over again. I mention it on a regular basis are some of the things that John Tyson said to us in his episode when we had him on to talk about his book, Intentional Father, coming out. And I'll mention it in all kinds of circumstances, not just about family discipleship, but in a lot of things about the call to, I'm not asking you to do something you can't do. I'm just asking you to do everything you can. And I think you can do more than you think. That phrase has been so helpful to me, both as I try to equip other parents and others, just people following Christ, but also just for me. Like I have limits. And when I reach my limit, that's okay. Zach Eswine always talks about how I don't need to apologize that I have limits. I have to apologize for pretending I don't. I don't have to be all powerful and omniscient. I have to repent when I find myself trying to be. And what John Tyson talked us through, both on like the seriousness and the intensity of following Christ and leading your kids to do the same, was such a blessing. But even as I'm scrolling through our old episodes, there's so many that I feel like were a big blessing to me.
Well, I referenced that episode today because our staff men and some of our elders, all who have daughters, are starting to get together once a month to go through his Resilient Daughter curriculum. And I was following up with Eric, went last night to be with the guys to kick off the year to do it together. And then was talking to some of the young dads this morning about how the chart that you see about how much time you have with your kids, like 95% of your time is before they turn 18. Yeah. And then it's kind of spread out for the rest of their life and your life. And I was talking about his advice when it was like, what would you do differently? And he's like, I would do more. I would be more intense. Yeah. It was, it's just like, it's so good.
It is so good.
Man, you really feel that at the ages we're at. It's like, I'm going to look up. And I mean, it's 6 more summers. That's crazy. I can't. Yeah. It's too much.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
I know it. I also think of, one of that comes to mind all the time for me too, is when we had Andy Crouch on and he talked about how the things we do form us. I think about that a lot, about all the machines that exist now to take out inconvenience for us and how we miss out on kind of formation. Yeah. I think about that when I go out early in the morning before the sun comes up and I take a deep breath and I don't just put my headphones in. I don't just listen to something. Sometimes I just walk and I breathe for a little bit and think about how this is forming me, and think about inviting my kids into something. Before we came on the air tonight, we were talking about some even biological issues that this generation faces because of how much screen time they get. But think about how that is true spiritually as well. Just there's so much technology and how it impacts what is being formed in us.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guests that we have on have been such a blessing to me. And then in addition to the guests we've had on, the interactions I have with people, either in our church or in our city, or as we travel around and speak about this, because of this podcast, it's changed some of the conversations I'm having. We kind of jump right into some heavy stuff about what's going on in their families, or they want to bring up something that's really been meaningful to them. And so there's been in the wild, off air, with real life people, conversations that I've been blessed by because of the work we've done on these first 100 episodes. So I wanted to ask you guys, any listener questions, listener interactions that have left like a real lasting impact on you? Cassie, can you think of how talking about family discipleship here has led to something somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that the one that stands out to me is the one that happened in Indianapolis when we were there for the Gospel Coalition. And I had flown in very late from Colorado from a friend's birthday weekend. And I was in soft pants and soft clothes and I was just feeling very soft. And I'm like looking at the Uber price to get to the hotel at the airport, and it doubles in the time, like from when we landed to when had my bag and I'm looking to get a ride. And I see these two women waiting for their luggage. And I'm like, they look like they're here for a Christian conference. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to ask if they want to split an Uber.
You sense the Holy Spirit on them?
Oh yeah. I was like, they're definitely here. And so I'm like, excuse me, do you happen to be here for a conference? I'm here for the Gospel Coalition and wondered if you want to split an Uber if you're staying downtown, just to split the cost. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. So we get our bags, we walk out, we're chatting on the curb waiting for the Uber. And she's like, your voice sounds so familiar, which I instantly am like, oh, great. Because I just feel so icky getting off an airplane and it's so late at night. But I was so encouraged by her. She's a young mom doing ministry and theology at her local church in Florida. And she was with her friend, and she just even hearing her talk to her friend about our ministry and this podcast. And I was just encouraged at the impact. And I think that's why it was something that stood out, is because, these things that we're putting out into the world, I don't know. I think it's going to last a long time, and even last maybe beyond us recording. And the idea of it blessing seemingly strangers, but really these are our brothers and sisters in Christ. Like, we will have all of eternity. I'll spend all of eternity with this woman in Florida who I met catching an Uber with, and it's just a really beautiful thing to think about, the family of God being edified together around family discipleship and really desiring to shape the next generation for the kingdom of God. So that just stood out to me.
That's great. Chelsea, how about you?
I can't think of anything really specific, but I've just been so encouraged by people in our church that listen. Some of y'all listeners know that. I think Adam and I have mentioned it, but I don't think a lot of people in our church know we have a podcast. Yeah. Adam doesn't ever mention it when he preaches, and I don't preach. And so people just find it if they find it, I guess. But yeah, I've had a handful of moms or dads just say that it was meaningful to them and that they feel like it's been helpful to them. And I hope they feel really shepherded by you, Adam, as you put time into this and effort into this. And it's just one more way that you're trying to lead your church. Yeah. And it's kind of a weird conundrum how you keep it a secret, but also some people know about it.
Yeah. And to be clear, I don't like to keep it a secret, but the thing that I don't want to do that some pastors are guilty of is having kind of I pastor a church, but really I spend most of my time writing my own books that I sell and creating a podcast that we have ads for that makes us money. And this is not that. One, nobody is getting rich on Family Discipleship Podcast. Two, we do this on our own time. Right now, what time is it? 9:30 at night? 9:30 at night. We're doing this. Chelsea and I are sitting in our house together, talking to our friend Cassie online, and we are doing this on our own time. And so I don't want people to get confused that I'm trying to create customers out of a congregation. And that does happen a lot in Christianity, where there's podcasts like this, not to call out a ton, but you'll see warning signs of this that I get concerned about, where somebody uses their kids for content. I don't want to ever use our kids for content so that we can have a platform, or that uses their pastoral position as their platform to be able to sell things to their own church. So we don't mention things to our church. Now, we did have a kids book came out that all the money from it went to construction at our church. And so there was a mention of that at some church things, but even that, I'm not getting up and doing a series on it. I'm not talking about it. And so I keep them kind of separate because I don't want any of the ickiness of that idea that a congregation is a consumer or a customer, or that I'm their, media leader. Now, at the same time, I'm not ashamed one bit of the work we do on the podcast. I love what we get to do here. And I've had a lot of interactions with dads who will take me out for coffee, or we'll go out for lunch, and they just want to talk about spiritually leading their home. And part of that is because of this podcast. It's not just because I'm a pastor at a local church. There's an assumption that there's some expertise here, that because we spend a lot of time talking about it, I can be helpful. And then our philosophy of ministry at Eastside is that I am available. And so if you want to get together and talk, we'll get together and talk, and we will get to have a lot of conversations about real things. Like, how do you be a faithful husband to your wife, and how can you be a faithful father to your kids? And what does it look like to share your faith in your particular household? And so that's been great. In addition to that, Chelsea and I have done One time we did a family discipleship academy this last year. We tried it for the first time and just invite only, kind of brought 11 families from our church. It really wasn't centered around the podcast, but I don't know that we would have done it if we hadn't spent this much time talking about it. Yeah. And so we spent all this time talking about it. We invited some families from our church into having deeper conversations. And even last night, or maybe it was earlier today, we're talking about a difference in one of those families because of the time we spent together this year. And so you think of the domino effect of these kind of things, where Cassie and I work at the Village. We start writing curriculum and ideas around family discipleship. That leads to a book that Matt and I write together. That leads to training the church, inviting us to do this podcast. That leads, that's timing wise, a little bit after we'd planted a new church. And that leads to a lot more conversations about things that we're passionate about in a way that I hope helps us make disciples, not just of kids, but is letting us disciple parents. And so those kind of things, that's what I hope a lot of local churches are getting from this podcast, is that they're being equipped to equip others. And because that's what I'm getting out of it. I'm sitting down and going, here's some thoughts I have, but here's some people I want to talk to. We're not picking our guests based on nobody's paying us to be on the show and we're not paying them. We're picking people that we like and we trust and we want to hear from and we want to learn from. And that's why when I scroll through our episodes, I go, man, those are either conversations we had wanted to have or those are guests that we wanted to have on, and that those, I hope, are a huge blessing to a lot of people on and off the air. So that was my answer. Long-winded, as usual. Yeah.
I like it. I like it when you talk.
Thank you. Sometimes people ask me, why are all the questions coming from me? And I'm like, because I always answer them the longest. If you guys asked me questions, we'd be here all night. But
good at answering questions.
I try to, my best strategy is getting the two of you talking. Speaking of which, if you could go back, let's say you went back to episode 1, is there anything you wish you knew then that you would go back and say, hey, just be thinking about family discipleship this way as you get into this, or maybe encouragement saying, hey, you don't even know, but this is what's going to happen. Cassie, if you could go back to talk with Cassie Bryant right after maybe the Griffins had texted you or called you and said, hey, what do you think about jumping on a podcast with us?
Yeah.
What do you wish you would have known then, or what would you go back and tell Cassie right then?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I would tell her that the most beautiful and helpful part of, in a lot of ways, I even think of my role on the podcast, is kind of leading from a place of weakness and vulnerability and not always having it together. There's a lot I know about next generation and ministry and stuff, but man, I'm definitely not the best parent of the 2 parents in this household. And I definitely have my weaknesses, and I've definitely been on a journey even in the last 4 years since episode 1. And I think if I could go back and tell her, hey, you don't have to project a strength. You don't have to be anybody you're not to minister to these people who are listening, to really reach our listeners. And I think that has come over time, and just feeling safe with you guys, because you guys are just such great friends and so gracious, and just my own sanctification journey, but also just hearing, parents in our church, or even, listeners out and about in Dallas say, hey, it's just so good to know that I'm not the only one that struggles with anger, or I'm not the only one that struggles with this, or that, you've also forgot, even if it's just a little mistake, but the things that I'm embarrassed by, when you bring it into the light and you kind of have the conversation and invite other people in with their authenticity, it's actually really unifying and beautiful. And not so we stay stuck, but so we can kind of move forward together and walk in grace. So I think that's probably what I tell her is hey, just no pressure, kind of don't stress out so much about what you're going to say and about saying the wrong thing.
Well, that's such a great message too for any parent who's thinking about what attitude do I want to bring into my own household. It's be ready to learn from your own kids. Be ready to learn from your mistakes.
Totally. You
don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be the best at this. We're going to step in to a situation in which the Lord empowers us to do something He's called us to. So what an honor, what a privilege. But don't stress yourself out over just how important this is, that you make it so impossible to do. Yeah. Chelsea, how about you? What sticks out to you?
I have a kind of a tendency to feel like a lot of things would be better without me. Whatever places I'm in or groups I'm a part of, it's easy for me to reason to myself that it'd be better if I wasn't there. But I've been really encouraged by some of the feedback we've gotten on the podcast, and just it's opened my eyes to the fact that a lot of people feel alone in trying to disciple their children or try to raise their children in an environment or a culture that's hostile to the gospel, and sees their efforts as being excessive or over the top.
Yeah.
And how many people are doing this from a blank slate, whether they got saved in high school or college or as adults, and they want to have this environment in their home that's joyful and it's peaceful and that honors God, and they don't even have a picture in mind of what that could look like. And so, while Adam, you and me, we're like Cassie, like we're weak and we're vulnerable. We don't have everything together. We still have something to offer people. We have an encouragement to give. Yeah, we have truth to share.
Yeah.
It's not our truth. God's truth. We have the Word of God, and we have an encouragement to share to people who are trying hard to honor God with their parenting and feel a little bit alone or a little bit helpless.
Yeah. And again, that's not only a good word to our, thanks for sharing so vulnerably, by the way, Chelsea, about just feeling like maybe this would be better if I weren't here, which I know translates not just to the podcast, but to social gatherings and other things. Yeah. And that's so clear to people like Cassie and I that that's a lie that's easy for you to believe, which we all have our own versions of, right? The lie that I would believe is like, hey, putting myself out there as somebody that's going to speak about parenting is going to harm my family down the line. When I know, and the longer I do this, I know that our kids will be able to find something to resent no matter what we do.
Yeah.
And if they resent us because we tried to help other families, and I'll be glad to talk them through like why I feel like the Lord called us to this in a really clear manner. But I can believe those lies. Like this is what's gonna hurt us. This is what's gonna harm us, or this is why I shouldn't be the one doing this. That's really easy to believe. So thanks for sharing that, Chelsea. I want to affirm not that any part of that is true in you, but that is something that is so helpful to people because it's easy to relate to go, yeah, why me? What do I have to offer? Okay, let's turn the corner. Let's talk about what's next. I want to hear from you guys as kind of we close out this conversation, the next 100 episodes or the next 250 episodes before we wrap this sucker up. Is there any dream guest or collaboration that we haven't had yet? Are there any topics or formats that we'd love to explore in the future? We've never really done like an on-air review of doing our live night and any of the lessons we learned there. But are there any ideas, any things that are in the pipeline for you? Anything in kind of the hope cage that you're like, I want to let this out, I want to chase this, or any guests that you'd love to see us have on?
I say, give me Beth Moore, give me Dad.
Yes, okay. Give me Beth Moore.
I don't want to, as much as you have to make me keep doing this podcast in order for me to do it, I'd like to keep it going until we get Beth Moore.
Okay, come on, Beth.
I mean, all the states that she goes to are listening. Texas, Georgia. So if you see Beth Moore, will you tell her, hey, have you thought about being on the Family Discipleship podcast?
That's so funny. I'm trying to think of what her people said when we reached out to her. I know
I think they said she was about to
do it.
I think they said that, she had a book tour and that she would be doing a podcast circuit, and then maybe we just never.
Yeah, next stop on the book tour, freakingfamilydiscipleship.com. Let's go.
I'll reach out again and see what we can do. Maybe that's a spring guest. I mean, Andrew Peterson was on your list at one time. He's coming on here.
I'm still so excited. I'm just already praying that I'm healthy that day. I just listened to his daughter's sweet new album, and it's so good. And I'm just so excited to hear about him as a parent and a creative parent and fostering and fanning the flame, the gifts that his kids have. And
love it.
Plus the author of Wing Feather Saga,
Oh yeah. How about for you, Cassie? What hasn't happened yet that you would love to see happen on the podcast?
I've been thinking about our topics. I don't even know where we're going to go next season. But I've been thinking more and more in conversations, even with Eric, around how marriage impacts family discipleship. And I definitely don't want this to become a marriage podcast. Don't hear me say that. But I do just think about how important marriage is when it comes to family discipleship. And if we're trying to do this apart from that, then it's going to go sideways, So I think that would be cool for us to spend some time in the future kind of talking about marriage and implications of marriage on family discipleship.
When we did our Family Discipleship Academy, it's a little bit smaller group, obviously, and we were talking with just married couples. But of the 6 times that we got together, the first 3 were about marriage. Wow. And part of that is because what Chelsea and I deal with often is the aftermath of when things are not going well.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a lot of meetings, which I'm honored to be in. This is not a complaint. A lot of meetings with husbands and wives, or husbands or wives, talking through what's so hard in marriage, or divorced couples talking through what was so hard and what is so hard now. And it's heartbreaking to watch. And it certainly does have an impact on the discipleship of a family or the leadership of a family. And I've also seen a lot of people lately that are misconstruing what spiritual leadership should look like in a way that's very concerning. And so, I appreciate that, Cassie. Maybe that's something in the sensitivity to our single parents out there. We haven't spent that much time talking about marriage. In fact, I want to say the only episode dedicated to it, you and Chelsea were not on. And that was just me and Ryan Frederick talking about how important marriage was. So it's just a couple guys.
Yeah, look how y'all silenced your wives there.
Well, you guys were supposed to be there. And then Selena, his wife, was supposed to be there. And all of a sudden it was just me and Ryan. We're like, I guess we'll carry the torch for everybody, you know?
Just a bromance.
a little bro conversation about marriage. But
anyway, I would love it if we talked more about marriage.
Good. Well, let's do that in the spring. I'm up for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about marriage. We can talk about our marriage. Let's get real.
Let's get spicy.
Yeah. We'll call it the spicy
family, what is it? Like the real world with the Family Discipleship Podcast.
Real Housewives of Family Discipleship.
Stop being polite.
Start being real.
We're not housewives.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's talk about that. Maybe we can do that in the spring, and we'll come up with another list of. I always appreciate it, listeners, by the way, if when our social media people post who would you like to have on here, I really do check that list. And when we look through who would be a great guest, sometimes I look for who's really popular in the comments, and that helps us find out. I'm not big on social media, so I don't know who the people are out there all the time. I'm seeing what books are coming out, but I don't see who's got, a big Instagram following who's sharing a lot of great advice. And so that's so helpful. So if there's anybody that you would like to see us have on in the future, feel free to comment on this episode when it comes out and they post it on Instagram, or put it in a review. Cassie, what were you going to say?
I think we should take this on the road. I feel like we should do like Family Discipleship Podcast Road Trip Edition.
Okay.
We not like a van. I don't think we need to be like weird.
Yeah, let's go to Hong Kong.
But I think we should do Barbados and Hong Kong for sure.
Let's do it.
And maybe the UK and Canada.
Yeah. Hey, I'd go to London. Like, I'm not a big travel guy, but I would go to London. I want to do like a Spurgeon tour in London. That's the only place I want to travel to, but that's because I'm a super nerd. So
I don't like cloudy weather, so I don't think I can go.
They have some sunny weather. We just need to go like in July and August.
Okay.
It's not always rainy.
Well, somebody did just ask me if we'd be willing to do a podcast show somewhere. And I told them maybe.
Where?
No, the question was.
Cassie says yes.
Well, the audience was not really our kind of typical. So I can talk to you guys about it off the air, but if somebody wanted to bring all 3 of us to a conference sometime, I know we'd be open to that. I love getting to go and speak places. We are 2025 is already pretty filled out for me, but we can talk about it in the long run. But we're so excited, maybe listeners, to meet you in person one day, whether it's in Barbados, or whether it's in Charlotte, North Carolina, or whether it's Dalton, Georgia, or wherever the Lord might bring us. I'm up for it. I'm in for it. And guys, I know we're 100 in. We've got we're only halfway through this season. Let's just do what do you think? Like 1,000 more?
Sure.
Okay.
The math checks out there.
1,000 more?
Yeah, 1,000 more. That's like
40
more years. Is that 40 more years of podcasting?
That math is perfect.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, remember that time you tried to quit on us, Cassie? Yeah. We're not going to let you do that.
No, not quit. I just, I want to steward the time. Like I said, I have 6 more summers.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just really thinking about the time with these kids. But guess what? They're in bed. So right now, this is not stealing time away from my kids.
That's right.
This is stealing time away from our TVs, which is something I think the Lord is pleased with.
The Griffin kids aren't in bed, but hopefully they're going to sleep. Tonight they're on the couch because we may have discovered mold in our house. But that's the story for another episode. All right.
No. Cliffhanger. See you next week.
I am actually going to need to get rich from this podcast somehow. So we're going to have to blow up our house and build a new one.
Oh, no.
Well, thanks for listening, friends. If you think it's as important as we do to disciple our families, please help us out by giving us a great review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can visit one of our sponsors and share this episode with one of your friends. If you want to keep up with us or join the conversation, you can find us at familydiscipleship.com or follow the Family Discipleship Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We do love you, listeners. Thanks for the first 100 episodes. Episode 101 will be right here next Monday morning, and we will see you next week.